Hey guys, welcome to the Uncreative Crafter. I really hope this is recording because he's only going to let me do this to him once. This is my cat Dorian. Big boy, say hi bud. He is pretty large. Pretty chill too. Anyway, I just thought it would be fun for you guys to see him. You sit in my lap? Stick around? Sniff all the yarn you know you're not supposed to play with? Hey guys, welcome to the Uncreative Crafter. My name is Jen, otherwise known on the internet as Stormcoast, and I am your host. It is Sunday, May 10th. I should probably flip my show notes over so I know what day it is. I didn't write down what day it is. It's Mother's Day. I think that's the 10th. Yesterday was kind of crazy. We'll get into that. I'm not even entirely sure that I'm actually awake right now. But anyway, happy Mother's Day. Hope it's a good one for you guys. Oh man. So Dorian has just jumped in the window. He's being a little active guy today. So there you go. There's my cat cameo for the podcast. What a doofus he is. So, I'm not even going to lie to you guys this week. It's probably going to be a long episode. So, grab something nice to drink and something to work on so you can listen to me. Alright, so first up, I am going to give you guys details about a contest that I will be running. And so this is going to be called the New to You Along. I talked about it a little bit last time, and so I firmed up some of the details on that. So basically, it's going to run from May 17th to June 14th, so I think that's 4 weeks. And basically what I'm asking you to do is either, if you already have a craft that you love, but there's a technique that you'd like to try, it's time to try it. Or if you have a craft and you're looking to try a completely different craft, go for it. So, no judging in this. And I'm just going to read the rules. I wrote them down. And I'd like to think that I'd remember all of them if I just said them, but I won't. So, skipping ahead. Oh, it does not have to be fiber related. You probably guessed that already, but maybe I have people who watch me who don't actually do anything with yarn or fiber. And that's totally cool too. So, you don't have to finish anything in that month. That month is just to give you plenty of time if it's a difficult technique and it's time consuming, or, you know, if you need to go find someone to teach you how to do it or whatever you need to do. We're going to have the whole month. No pressure to finish anything. You can try as many new things as you want. So say you're a knitter and you want to try stranded color work, and you want to try mitered squares, and you want to try double knitting. That's awesome, but you are only going to get one entry per person. So feel free to try as many as you like, but it's not going to get you anything extra. Just an FYI. Also, I'm going to ask that you either comment on the official Ravelry thread for the contest in my group, or I'm going to be making a special blog post on stormcoastcreations.com, and that way if you're not on Ravelry, or you'd prefer not to join my group on Ravelry, you can still enter that way. I may have some people who just watch me on YouTube who are not on Ravelry, and then that way you will have your choice of one or the other. I am asking that you only enter once, so pick one, either the Ravelry thread or the blog post. And I think I've said it, so you don't need to do anything like that crazy CAPTCHA stuff. It should be pretty easy to comment on there. So I am gonna be willing to ship internationally, so definitely if you are not in the United States, give it a thought. I might need a little bit of time to save up some extra money to ship your prize, which I don't have yet, but Christy of Fiber Stash is generously donating a prize, a skein of yarn, which is hopefully in the mail to me. I'll do a little update video when I have it so everybody can see what it is. So I am going to ship internationally. And you don't actually have to even post a picture of what you do. I love seeing what you do, but just pop me a comment and let me know what your new thing is. And that's pretty much the contest in a nutshell. Rules may change. I think these are pretty simple and straightforward. Now that we've gotten through the really super boring ruly portion of the podcast, we are going to be moving on to finished objects. I only have 2. I was hoping that I would have a lot more, but yesterday, we're going to get into yesterday, don't you worry. So I have 2. First up is where did I put it? Is the January 6th washcloth. And this was the simple lace rib washcloth that I was working on last time. It's all done. Got to weave in the ends, but, that's nothing new for me. And it was interesting to work. Not sure I would use it again in a heartbeat, but, hey, I learned a new thing, and I'm almost through the first week of the calendar, which is awesome. We're getting there slowly but surely, like 1/52nd of the way done. Next up, the other thing that I finished is my birthday bat spinning. This was some fiber stash. I believe her Corey Twinkle bat, but I lost the label, so I couldn't tell you exactly what's in it. Hopefully I'll find that either on her website or maybe on Ravelry. She has a listing for them. Anyway, I bought this fiber before I got my wheel 2 years ago for my birthday. And my husband picked it in the last brown bag spin, and I spun it up, and it's just really super pretty. So, things rolling around, I had a feeling that would happen. So this is, I believe, Corriedale and Sparkles. So it's like black and blue and teal and aqua and getting super close to the camera. And I just, I applied it as a single, and I then applied it back on itself from a center pole ball, which is what I normally do. Did not measure the reps per inch, but when I took it off on the Nitty Naughty, it was about 228 yards. So, not bad. I think it floofed up a bit in the wash. It's really squeezy, and I don't know what it wants to be. But it will tell me eventually, right? Hopefully. So, that is all I have finished working on. Well, I'm still working on my Multnomah. I was really hoping I'd have it done for you guys, but yesterday. So, I am almost all the way done with it. I've got, a good chunk of yarn left. I think I've just got the final edging portion to do. So I've done like 9 rows of feather and fan, and I just need to do number 10. And I just couldn't brain on it for a little while, so that's sort of been not hibernating, but I haven't made it a primary focus. Hopefully I will finish that one today, because I would love to have that one off the needles so I can start something new. Next up, I'm working on January 7th washcloth, and that is a pattern called Crocus Bud, I believe. And if I can extricate it and feed myself a little bit of yarn here so I don't pull anything off the table. So this is and that's the wrong side, so that's not the cool side. So this is a really, I really like this pattern. It sort of has these alternating zigs and zags up, that sort of diagonally. And I don't know, I just really like it. It's a simple enough pattern to memorize, and I think the payoff is really nice. And I could definitely see myself using this pattern again. I haven't gotten excited about one of these patterns in the perpetual calendar in a long time. So I'm pretty excited about that. Ready for that one to be done though, and moving on to the next one, because I like making progress. The long crawl. You know exactly what's in the long crawl, don't you? You don't need me to tell you. Oh hey, frogged pint glass from Ravelry. Also good for water. The weaving, my fiber stash weaving, I thought about pulling it out and working on it a little bit so I could say it was out of hibernation, and just yesterday. So that didn't happen. My toe-up socks are still in hibernation. I did put them back on the needles, just again haven't had the brain space to figure out where I was, if I need to knit any further to make the short row heel and then to do a short row heel. So maybe if I finish Multnomah, I'll switch back to the socks and try to get a couple things off the needles, because I'm not going to let myself cast on for another pair of socks until I finish those. I think that's a good thing to do. And then the other thing it's not technically on the long crawl, but I haven't started it yet either, because I finished a spin. I had my husband pick my next project. He picked, I called them the mystery bats. My friend who I knew back in Vermont, who works at my old local yarn store, was playing, I think, with dyeing fiber, either her or her daughter, and she gave me like 3 bags worth of bats. And when my husband picked it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's going to be a nice long spin. There's 3 big bats in there. And then I open it up and it's actually 6 bats. So I spent a very long evening watching Once Upon a Time and ripping them up all into little batlings. So I'm going to pull a couple of them out of the bag here so you can see them. I ended up measuring it. It's actually not nearly as much as I thought it was. It's probably about, it's a little over 7 ounces altogether. And it's really neat because actually the 6 different bats, I think she must have dyed them different ways, even though they're all similar colors. So some of them are a bit more white than others. And then some of them actually have like darker darker fiber. That's the word. Oh man, darker fiber mixed in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out like half and half, and I'm just going to throw different little batling balls into each half and spin it up really crazy and weird like that. So I think that's going to be interesting, but I have not started that yet because yesterday. All right, and we do have a little bit of stash before we get into yesterday. My husband and I went to Nashua last weekend. We went to a place called Uncreative, which is sort of like a home brewery but in a store, and they do all the cleanup. And if you have not been there and you want to brew some beer, that's the place to go. Absolutely. So I did do a little bit of purchasing there. I got some Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock in the Cypress colorway. It's this really great tonal green, like little hints of gray almost, and it's almost like got this sheen to it, which is just really beautiful. And this is 80% superwash merino wool and 20% nylon, and it's just really lovely. And it was nice to get something that I haven't played with before. And then the other thing that I bought there, even though I haven't used my Madeline Tosh that I bought for myself in December, I got some more Madeline Tosh because it's pretty. So this is sort of like a bluey silver colorway. This is Tosh Merino Light in the Dr. Zhivago's Sky colorway, and I just love the variegation in this. I just love how it changes colors, and it's going to look really awesome knit up. What it's going to be, I do not know, but we will find out. So let's talk about yesterday. Normally I don't come up with a name for the show ahead of time. I've only done it once so far. But my friend Angelique and I went to the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival yesterday. And she's awesome. I've talked about her on the podcast before. I got her into spinning and I got her interested in knitting. She was already an awesome crocheter before I got my hands on her. But I was like, hey, there's this festival. Want to go? Want to drive? I'll pay your admission if you drive. And then we ended up talking the whole time in the car. Normally I like to be a passenger so I can craft. But that's okay because it was fun to talk to her as well. I apologize. I got so much sun yesterday. I need to drink some water. And so we're talking in the car. And all of a sudden she just busts out and she goes, meh. And I'm like, excuse you? I'm going to pretend that I don't know you if you keep doing that, especially at the festival. So we basically just pretended to be sheep all day because we're cool like that. And then every time we saw something we liked, we'd go, ooh. So today's episode title is meh, ooh. And I am never doing that again because I feel like such a doofus. Oh, man. Okay. So, New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. I have been to Vermont Sheep and Wool several times. It's a great festival. And so I thought I knew what to expect. I had no idea what to expect. I feel like I should have trained for a marathon before I went to New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. I have heard people talking about how much smaller it seemed and how the crowd seemed smaller and how it seemed like there were less vendors. And I'm sure that's true, but I felt like little kid in the big city. There was so much walking, like, I didn't bring a big enough bag, I didn't have my phone out to take pictures, just like, we get through the first building A, thinking, okay, we're going to scout everything out. We're going to look and see what we want to buy before we buy it. You can't do that there, because by the time you get back to that building, it's probably going to be gone. There were so many people there, I think. I was just absolutely astounded at the number of people and all the vendors. I talked myself out of buying a lot of really awesome stuff, and that's kind of a bummer. There was a lady making pottery, and she had the cutest mugs, and they were big tea mugs with animal faces on them. And I'll have to see if I can figure out which vendor she was. Probably I can figure it out from the map. But, like, she had one with a sheep face on it. She had one with a pig face on it. They were so cute, and I would have loved to have gotten one of those. I didn't, but, maybe next time. And then there was a guy selling these, like, humongous, like, probably the size of my cat, skeins of boucle yarn. And he showed us a shawl that had been knitted out of it, and it was just gorgeous. And I don't think I've ever even used boucle yarn before. So that would have been another great purchase, and I did not get it. So we're walking around Building A and stopped at one of the booths. My friend Angelique had wanted to get at least 2 spindles, which she did. And every time I saw a spindle, I'd say, "Ooh, spindle." So we stopped at this one booth, and I said, "Ooh, spindle." And this very nice gentleman was telling us about them and said, "Oh, yeah, my wife makes these," and blah-de-blah, etc. And then he sees my Ravelry button, because I had on my Ravelry button. He says, "There's a podcaster meetup later today. Are you going to go to that?" And I said, "Actually, I'm one of the podcasters." Nobody famous, but... And he goes, "Have you met Claire?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Have you met Claire yet? She's right here. Let me grab her for you." And keeping in mind, it's 9:30 in the morning. There are already so many people there half an hour after the event started. My friend and I are just walking around like, what is going on? And he wants to pull over Claire of New Hampshire Knits, who is amazing, and introduce me to her. And somehow I stumbled through that, and I think I spoke English. I'm pretty sure my face was completely bright red. I think I felt like I just totally blew that. I'm like, "Oh, I love you, and you're awesome," and then his wife, the gentleman who pulled over Claire, is like, "Oh, and my wife watches your podcast, and so she came over to say hi." And I'm just like, oh my god, this is real. Like, I can't run away from this now. I actually have to go to this meetup. This is bonkers. And so they were really lovely to talk to, and that was Tim and Jen of Contented Butterfly Farm, who were on Claire's podcast. I'll have to link the episode that they were in, because it was very interesting to listen to. And so that was really, in a way, I'm glad we got to meet before the podcast meetup, because I was a little nervous about it, and I had no idea what she looked like, because she's an audio podcast. So once I walked off going, oh my god, I'm freaking out, oh my god, kept walking around the buildings, and then basically started throwing our money at people at that point. There was no way we were going to walk through all the buildings and then come back and buy stuff. So let's get on into what I bought, because it's not like I just got those 2 things from, and I forgot to mention those skeins of yarn that I bought were from Twill Yarn, and Twill Fibers and Yarn in Nashua. So I'm just all over the map today. I bought not as many things as my friend did, but almost as many things as my friend did. So first up are some earrings from Subito Farms. And I love earrings. These are the cutest freaking earrings. They are hand needle felted. They look like little traffic lights, I think. They are so cute. And I totally love them. And this was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'll come back for it. And then I'm like, but if I come back for it, someone else is going to get it. And I don't want that. So I left with those. And then I'm totally going out of order in the order I bought things, but whatever. There was a natural lotion vendor there called Natural Specialties. And she was like, hey, try this lotion. And normally I feel a little iffy on stuff like that. I always feel bad if I don't buy it. But it was an awesome lotion, so I bought it. So, Natural Specialties Shea Butter Lotion in lavender. So, We did go around and look at all the buildings, and I did come back to Contented Butterfly Farm. I touched, I think, almost every single spindle there. I wasn't super duper looking for a spindle. I already have a couple of top roll spindles, and I wasn't thinking I was going to buy another one, but we walked around, played with all the spindles from my friend, and I came back to Contented Butterfly Farm. Not because they were nice to me, not because Jen watches the podcast, but because it was the lightest spindle I had felt there. And so I got a drop spindle. There's a little bit of a secret to the whirl. I'm not going to give it away in case it's a trade secret, but I think it's ingenious. And I'm very excited to maybe clean off a spindle that is so old and has fiber that is so old on it that I haven't even talked about it on the long crawl because it's old and I forgot that I had it on there. So I can't play with this until I finish my other spindle project. So, Scout's honor, I'm going to do it. And then also I thought, if I'm going to have a spindle, maybe I should have a little bit of play fiber to go with it. Obviously, I have plenty of fiber, but I thought, I'm right here. They're selling these really cute little, they're called Wee Beastie Bats. How adorable is that? It's only an ounce, which is super affordable, and you don't have to worry, am I, not that I think that I'm going to mess it up. I've done enough drop spindling that I kind of know what I'm doing. But, it's just an ounce. It's fun to play with. I thought if we had time, I brought so many things to do, thinking we would need a lot of time before the meetup. We didn't have any time before the meetup. We were just doing things constantly. But anyway, this is 1 ounce. It's 60% wool, 30% mohair, and 10% silk. And I just love the colors. The camera's, of course, blowing it out a little bit because it's a beautiful sunshiny day here in New Hampshire. But I bought that as well. And again, not because they were nice to me, but because it looked cool and it was the right price and the right amount. Okay, next up I got some Dirty Water Dye Works. Now, I have coveted Dirty Water Dye Works for years. She is at Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival. I've seen her kits, and she's knitted them up into some beautiful things. And this is not who is this girl? Why did she buy gray? This is not what she normally does. So I bought this gray gradient kit. It's a little messy from being in my bag, but I mean, it's absolutely fabulous. And this is the Lucia Gradient Bundle. It's 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon. And she had a sample out of the Dipped Infinity cowl, which I bought that pattern a million years ago. And so I'd like to make it. I probably have enough sock yarn scraps to do it, but I can just make it out of this. I thought it would be nice and neutral, and I would be able to wear that anywhere. I don't know. So that was an exciting big purchase. And then on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, there was another vendor who, and I swear, my friend Angelique and I did this to each other the whole day. We'd be like, oh, come look at this. And then the other person would buy it. And then I'd be like, well, I have to get you back now. Come look at this. And she did this to me. So Mad Color Fiber Arts. She goes, hey, Jen, look, it's a rainbow. Yes, it is. So this is Mad Color Fiber Arts. This is 85% superwash, BFL, and 15% nylon. And this is her colorway Fruity Odie Bar. Look at how bright and just beautiful, and it's a rainbow. I just want to hug it the whole day. I don't actually even want to finish podcasting. I just want to, okay, no, finish podcasting. And I went to pay for it, and she's got purple hair, by the way, which is the coolest thing ever. And I said, hey, are you a fellow brown coat? Because if you didn't know, Fruity Odie Bar is from Firefly / Serenity. And so we started geeking out over that, and I showed her my Stitched by Jessalou Doctor Who bag with the TARDIS on the back, and it turns out she's actually doing some kind of club with Stitched by Jessalou, and I'm really jealous about that, and I kind of think I might need to be in that. So anyway, those were some of the first things I bought other than the earrings, and I just thought it was really funny. I had them in my bag, and I did post this picture to Instagram, but I had like these grays and these rainbow right next to each other, and I just thought that was funny. So, and then the big purchase. I went to the festival with the hopes of finding one of these without the knowledge of what to do for it. So we're at the Spunky Eclectic booth, which was one of the ones that I've heard of the Spunky Eclectic even before I went to the show. And I thought, okay, well, we'll go look at her fiber. And I had been checking out spindles. There were a couple of places that had what I thought I was looking for. Wasn't sure on the price, thought I would do a little bit more comparison shopping. And my friend Angie goes, Jen, they've got supported spindles. And I blame the lady at Spinning Group who showed us how to support spindle on the day we did the spindle demonstrations. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know. I don't really need this. It's beautiful. I don't know how much it costs. Do I really want to do this? And there's just a lady standing there with the bowl. Oh, and here it is, since I've already brought it into the frame. And there's just a lady standing there with the spindle in the bowl. She's just twirling it, and she's like, you totally need this spindle. Like, the spindle needs to go home with you. You don't, just talking me right into it. And then she just magically disappears. I thought she worked there, but she didn't. And I asked about the price, and it was within my price range, a little pricier than I thought it would be. But, I mean, did you see this? Do you see this point? Like, ouch, that's pointier than some of my knitting needles. And it just had a really great spin on it, and even though I don't know how to support spindle, I'm going to learn, because I paid a lot of money for this. I don't even know what kind of wood it is. That's kind of terrible, and I don't know who makes it. But I did find out later that it is a Russian support spindle. So I'm going to be watching some YouTube videos later on how to support spindle. They were selling support spindle bowls. I wouldn't have had enough money to get that and some of the other things that I ended up buying, so I did not get a bowl. I'm probably making everybody really nervous. Stop waving around your new support spindle like it's a wand. And then I'm thinking, maybe I'll just go to Big Lots or Walmart or something, get a tiny little bowl, see how that works. And then I get home and I'm like, hey, this yarn bowl that I've been decoupaging, I was going to decoupage all on the inside, but I can just decoupage down the sides and leave the bottom undecoupaged. And again, I have no idea what I'm doing with this, but hey, that looks like it spins just fine to me. So I'm really excited about that. But again, not something I'm going to be playing with right off the bat. I have a lot of learning to do. I think I finally have to watch my DVD on spinning techniques, because I think that will help me do that. So that was the shopping portion of the day. My legs were exhausted. I was exhausted. My feet hurt. I was hungry. I was hot. I was sweaty. And then it was time for the podcaster meetup. So my friend and I go over to where we think it's going to be, and we're kind of sitting away from where it is because we didn't really know for sure, and we couldn't remember what anybody looked like. And that's the thing with meetups, is if you've never met anybody before, you don't remember what they look like because you've never met them before, obviously. And so we're sitting there, and that was a cliffhanger, wasn't it? This lady walks up to us, and she goes, excuse me, are you Stormcoast? And I'm like, yeah. And she watches my podcast. I was recognized. People know who I am now. Like, I let that get to my head a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, there's a person who watches me in front of me, talking to me. This is amazing. So that was Pop Silly from Ravelry, and she was just really sweet, and she stuck around with us, and we talked about the festival and how things were going. And then we saw people starting to gather, and somebody must have recognized Claire, and we all went over and said hi. And it was really awesome. I'm actually a super shy person in real life. You may or may not have figured that out from the meetup yesterday. But everybody was super sweet and really nice, and a couple other people had watched the podcast as well, and some people said they were going to check it out, and it was just really great. So I'm not going to hit everybody's name because I'm terrible with names. I'm sure I asked everybody there at least twice, so if I Do not mention your Ravelry name. I'm so sorry. Remind me that we talked and said hi, because it all just literally was a blur at the end of it. It was kind of flying high on how much fun it was. So I met Claire of New Hampshire Knits, who was really sweet and awesome. Towards the end, I finally got up the courage to go say hi to Sarah of Fiber Trek. I'd actually never seen her podcast. I watched it on Friday night as I was wrapping up mini skeins, and it was very educational, except because it was 10 o'clock at night and I was wrapping up mini skeins and I should have been in bed before the festival. I don't remember much of it, but I'm definitely going to check out more of her stuff too. So I will give links to both of their podcasts in the show notes on my blog. And then I met Pop Silly, like I mentioned before. I met Strid8 and her daughter, whose Ravelry name I don't remember, but I don't think she remembers it either. And they were really awesome. I think I met B&B Knitter, because I seem to remember that button, but I could be lying. And I know I met other people, including the lady who was standing just spinning that supported spindle and making me want to buy it. I was like, you made me buy this. And she's like, yeah, but don't you love it? And yeah, I do. So, and I know, again, I met other people. I traded mini skeins with people. I don't remember who I met. We also did a mini skein swap. I stayed up later than I should have, twisting up yarn into mini skeins. And I gave away a lot of them. I do still have a lot left. So if you didn't get a mini skein, or if you're interested in a mini skein, they're 3-gram skeins of sock yarn. And I have Red Heart, Heart and Soul in the Mellow Stripes colorway. And this one was really popular. I think people were a little bit surprised to find out that this was Red Heart. And then I have some, it got messy, Lang Yarns Yawool Silk. And this is a sock yarn blend that has silk in it. And then I also had some Schopelwolle Zauberball, Crazy Zauberball, in some colorway with numbers, like 1702 or something like that. And I got a couple of skeins for myself. So I think, who did I get this from? Was this Pop Silly? I don't remember. Tofootsies, I think, is the yarn brand. And then I think I got this one from Claire of New Hampshire Knits. And then I grabbed this skein, and oh god, there goes the Tofootsies. Oh man, okay. And then I got this little skein of pink from somebody, and you made yours look so much nicer than mine. That's not fair. So, I think my new thing for the New to You Along might be mitered squares. I've never done that. Claire is doing this really awesome. She says it's going to be like a cushion cover, which is why she's using the 3-gram skeins. I think I might have to try that. That might be my thing, since I've done little swaps. So definitely, also, if you're interested in doing little swaps with me, let me know, and I'd be happy to mail you out a couple of these. I've got plenty more sock yarn where that came from. And oh, hey, Dorian again. He's just being, he just knows now what it's like to be famous, I guess. So, alright, I have been talking forever. I feel like I'm super tired and super out of it. Yesterday was just great, but really draining. I slept for like 9 hours last night, and I got up and I'm like, I just don't want to do anything today, but I have to podcast. So I'm not my normal zany self, but then again, maybe this is me being normal. This is probably closer to what I really am. And so, there's no extra credit. I would like to tell you that I've been decoupaging, but I haven't, because I'm lazy. So we'll get back on that at some point. I would like to, now that I have the supported spindle, finish decoupaging up to the bottom of that bowl, so I can give that a try. I think that's going to work out really well. And then the only extra credit I have for you this week is going to be War and Peace. That's not extra credit. That's on the edge. Oh, man. See, I'm all nervous now that I know people watch and recognize me by face. That's weird. So the only on the edge thing I have is War and Peace. I think I read an extra 1%. I'm at 56%. It was pretty exciting, 1%. But that's it for that. So, I will see you guys in another 2 weeks. I think that will be Memorial Day weekend. Maybe I won't be podcasting then. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, keep an eye out for the New to You Along starting May 17th. and I'll try to pop up a video before that happens too. And I look forward to seeing the things that you guys make. And I will again also let you know what that prize looks like when I get it. So I'm going to go and think about what I've done with all this shopping and figure out where to put it. Alright guys, I will see you either in 2 weeks or maybe 3. And remember, it gets done one stitch at a time. Have a great couple of weeks, everybody. Bye.